I think that you need to eventually choose to protect your own well-being, and like living with someone who is in active addiction and really suffering can mess up everyone around them. It causes a lot of damage to everybody. But some of us, unfortunately, just have to hit our version of rock bottom, and, whatever that is. And sometimes you can come back from that. And sometimes, like your grandmother, it's a really unfortunate health scare that
Yeah.
happens. But yeah, I don't know. I think exposing them to people like them is better. People that understand.
So that's why you have like AA meetings and people like support groups. Is what you're saying.
Yeah, and I have never gone to an AA meeting, actually. It's something that I do plan on trying soon, just for the social aspect, to meet some real life sober friends. But even just joining a sober community on Facebook, I think is really good. You can just lurk. You don't even have to use your real account. And
Right, right.
I was a member of sober Facebook groups for a full year before I quit. And I used to post these like really horrible things about moderation and like how I couldn't figure it out, and everyone was really supportive. Sober people are so nice, and like I said, we recognize it in other people, and we're very sympathetic. So I think just getting them around people that can understand them, because it will make them feel safe to talk and also to listen. Like if someone who barely drank ever was telling me about, you drink way too much, I'd be like, well, you don't know how to have fun, man. Like, what are you talking about?
Yeah, they get real defensive really fast.
Yeah, so I think that's hard. But if somebody says that to you, and they've been sober for 2 years because they blew up their life before they quit, like, you can't really dismiss that.
Right. And I know I heard I think your latest episode or the your bonus episode. Happy 8 months of being sober.
Thank you.
Congratulations. I can only imagine how hard that is for somebody who loves alcohol, especially to the on the biological level. But what in your opinion, or maybe even in your experience, what's the hardest decision you think you'd had to make, either by quitting alcohol or even trying to help someone else?
I think the hardest decision when I actually quit for real, I was so miserable that I knew that it was like a life or death situation. So it actually became not as hard to quit. But all the times leading up to that where I thought about it, that was very hard. I think that's a really good question. The hardest thing, I think, is just feeling uncomfortable on how everyone else thinks about me now.
Do you find yourself having to end certain relationships with people because of your drinking?
Yeah, so I never lost friends or family members or anyone because of my drinking. I was most people's favorite drinking buddy. Um, Most people who have healthier relationships with alcohol than I did, but they were upset when I quit because now they couldn't go out and party. Like some of them, I was the only person they went out and partied with. So now for them, that meant no more partying. Um, so a lot of people were upset that we weren't going to have fun like that anymore, and pressured me to drink. I had a lot of drink pushers. Um, I had one friend who was a very close friend, and we met what I thought was for dinner, but it was actually for a drink. And then her boyfriend came to get her so that they could go to dinner and actually like have fun. He came to pick her up right at the bar. Like he walked right over to where we were and picked her up. And I remember just feeling so hurt. Like I'm not even good enough to have like an hour dinner with anymore. Like Am I that boring? I think I'm even more fun now. But so
Wow.
I had a lot of issues with that, and I did lose friends, unfortunately, because they didn't give sober me a chance.
Yeah. I know a few years back, I once again I was in the military, so the military is this huge, very, very heavy drinking, what's the word I'm looking for? Not
Culture.
society. Yeah, culture. There you go. Very heavy drinking culture. Like people pride themselves on how much they can drink, get drunk, and then wake up the next morning to do physical activity, kind of thing. So it's like a badge of honor for a lot of people. And I just remember hanging out with my friends, and we're at a bar, and everybody took some shots, and I drank, and so I don't know what it was, but it clicked in my head where I was just like, wow, I don't want to do this anymore. And I just finished drinking that night, and I mean, I've had one or two times where I've gotten accidentally really drunk, but other than that, I was not, my intention was never to get drunk anymore.
Mm-hmm.
And I kind of same what is it, same predicament you were in, where I've had friends who invite me out, but because I don't drink the way I used to anymore, they the invitations slowly come to a halt,
Yep.
and which is okay for me, but I know it could be a pretty difficult thing for some people.
Yeah, it's hurtful, but then, you just have to realize, like, those aren't your people. They don't have not even your best interests. They don't have any of your interests in their
Right,
mind.
right. Super selfish in
Yeah.
a sense. Um, I think some of well, I found myself in certain predicaments that are pretty hard because we have friends that still like to really drink, and it's almost like a wind up toy. The minute you let it go, the momentum just continues to keep it going, and it's like we're just trying to have a chill afternoon, and then somebody wants to bring up shots, and I'm like, no, man. Like to the point where we're at a bar and they buy shots and put them in your face, and I'm like, you just wasted your money because I'm not drinking this. Like I don't know how much more I can explain that to you, and there were some pretty bad times, but one of one of the things I like to do on this podcast is I know it's all about positivity, but sometimes you can't show the positive or shine a light on positive things without showing the negative side of some stuff. So my question is, what are some of the biggest problems that you see surrounding alcohol today?
I think the problem that affected me the most was this is probably a really dark one. I don't know if you wanted to go this dark, but I think just wasting like good chunks of my life, just wasting them. Like I went to work because, there were very clear consequences if you don't go to work. Um, but nothing else really had consequences. So I just kind of didn't do anything else. So I just went to work and I would come home and I would like, if my husband was home first, I'd be like, hey, as I'm walking into the kitchen. So I'm not even home and I'm already getting going. And then I would drink until it was time for bed. And even if I did moderate, like I did have maybe a third to a half of my nights, I did successfully stick to my plan and remember all the rules and did moderate. But you can't, after you've had 2 glasses of wine, you can't like go do anything. So I just wasted a lot of time. I didn't pick up any hobbies. I chose my friends based on how much they like to drink, and I sacrificed a lot. And I think that is really sad. And I think um, just even to show this sacrifice even more, someone said to me once that they wanted to have a child, but that it would mess with her drinking too much if she got pregnant. And that was years ago when I was still like going hard. And that made me feel so sad. I could cry just thinking about that. And one day that's it's not going to feel that way anymore for her. She's going to wish that she did have a child. And and didn't dedicate her life to drinking, and I think just wasted time. Like, there's so much more that we can do. I calculated my drinking hours when I quit, and I was spending between actively drinking, recovering from drinking, or just like wasted time. Like, if I had 2 glasses and then couldn't do anything else, I was spending 40 hours a week just dedicated to alcohol. So it was like I was working 2 full-time jobs. Like,
Wow.
imagine how much time that is. People who work
Yeah.
2 full-time jobs like don't do anything else. And I think just if people could think about that, like, how much time am I giving to something that sucks? It's a lot of time.
Especially for somebody who has 2 degrees in very, in my opinion, very difficult fields.
Yeah.
So I can, just the potential to do so much more.
Yeah, I could have got a PhD.
Just about. Wow, that's very that's enlightening. I know a lot of, like, I don't know if it's a American culture, or you always hear people in Europe, they always give their kids glasses of wine to eat with dinner or stuff like that, which makes it. I know I'm Puerto Rican, so in my family, drinking was not very. It wasn't taboo, and it wasn't a very strict thing to do. It was more of a social thing. So I think for me, anyway, I can only speak on my experiences, but for me, I think that's the reason I'm not such a huge drinker,
Mm-hmm.
because it's like, it's for a social time, good time. It's not to get wasted and stuff like that. But because we have such a somewhat strict society in America, I think, when people go to college, they got to get their stomachs pumped, because you know
Yeah.
they're just going to college parties and they're getting super wasted, keg stands and all that stuff. So um, I think a lot of that has to do with just our culture in America. But what are some solutions that you can think of for helping those who think they might have a problem, or even those who might be in denial about their problem?
So if you think that you might have a problem with alcohol, um, you do. So that's the first one. People that don't have a problem with it don't wonder if they do. So if you think you do, you most likely do. It doesn't have to be my level of a problem, but like some people, they they do have that voice in their head that helps them, and they are capable of controlling themselves, and maybe an extended break helps those people. But I think we all know in our hearts like how bad it is, and if you're wondering, you most definitely, there's something going on. And if that's the case, I would just expose yourself to sober people. Just see what we're all about. There's so many sober accounts on Instagram, and you can even make like a fake account if you don't want anyone to know that they follow sober people. But there's so many accounts. There's people that do lives and Facebook groups. There's people on YouTube that talk about sobriety. So there's so much access to just learning. And the people that are in denial, that one is really hard. I talked to some of those people actually. I welcome their messages. So feel free anytime, reach out. But I think you just have to break through your limiting beliefs. Like, mine was alcohol is essential for fun. I will never have fun again for the rest of my life if I quit. And I really believed it. And I went to therapy 2 years ago, 3 years ago, I don't know, April 2018. I went to therapy and I said, I think I might have a drinking problem. Like, I don't think I'm an alcoholic. And then the excuses like fell out, I'm not that bad. I don't drink in the morning. I don't have a DUI. and I was like, what do you think? What do I do? And I wish that my therapist would have been like, well, you do have a problem. But instead she was like, how do you feel about taking a week off? And horrible. I mean, I didn't take a day off. So
Yeah.
a week, oh my God. And she challenged